I have some bad news for you. You are probably not going to be rich. Not a particularly positive message to start a video on, but it's something that people need to hear from time to time. Unfortunately, this is not something that most people want to hear, so there is no shortage of people out there telling you exactly the opposite, normally as a way to pitch some kind of product. Now, of course, most of you watching know that YouTube ads saying that you can earn 6 figures a month by selling on Amazon, forex trading, or flipping real estate are full of shit. But they still all follow a pretty similar routine. Hey, you can get rich, as long as you are willing to do XYZ, while listening to the advice I give you. Again, when it turns out that this advice is something that you have to pay for, most people get wise to the fact that it's all just a massive scam. Of course, some don't, which is tragic, and there really genuinely should be more done about this, but that's a story for another time, or a Coffeezilla video. Instead, the focus of this video will be on a group of internet gurus with much more influence, a much larger following, and much more credibility. The personal finance personalities. So, it's time to learn how money works and find out why you probably shouldn't be learning to work your money like these popular YouTubers might suggest. Now, I want to preface this by saying that I personally enjoy watching people like Ram Stefan, Andre Zik, and from time to time even Dave Ramsey as a guilty pleasure. None of these guys are outright nefarious scammers, like the hustle bros you'll see pitching an Amazon automation course, and this automatically makes them a million times better than this other group. What's more is that they are genuinely entertaining. They give people a sneak peek into their own success while presenting relatively dry content in a way that is funny and easy to understand. The problem is that personal finance should be boring. There is a common saying that everything you need to know about personal finance should be able to fit on a postcard, and some authors have actually done it. But when you are committing to an upload schedule of 15-minute videos every single day, every single week, you are going to run out of things on that postcard to talk about. Now, this is no good, because as these people will show you, they make millions of dollars a year from their daily videos. So they are not exactly going to turn around and say, "Oh well, I've taught you everything you need to know, so long and thanks for all the fish." Of course not. That would be silly. And I'm sure any one of us in their position would do the exact same thing that they are, which is riding that damn gravy train for as long as they can. But to do this, they need to create more and more content than what this postcard can hold. So they branch out into a few different broad categories: personal stories about their success, reactions, predictions, and making up new lessons. Now, to start off with, let's look at the least problematic of these formats: reaction videos. Reaction videos are everywhere on YouTube, and they get a bit of a bad rap. But when you think about it, this video format can range from absolutely terrible all the way to genuinely value-adding and informative. The videos that people like Ram or Kevin make are normally towards the good end. They will normally react to personal finance by watching video series like Millennial Money, or they talk about high-end real estate, which is obviously an area of expertise for these guys. There are others like Dave Ramsey, who will do live reactions to people that call into his show, and despite this being a bit repetitive, they aren't really doing any harm. If you want to argue that these live interviews are not really reaction videos, just think to yourself, am I watching this to see a solution to the person's problem, or am I watching this video to smugly partake in Dave's reaction to this person's situation? Even still, this is just a bit of light entertainment, and who knows, maybe we'll pick up a nugget of information along the way. No problems there, apart from when these reactions turn into predictions. Financial predictions are almost impossible to make. Even the largest financial firms in the world with teams of PhD quantitative analysts struggle to outperform regular market returns consistently, if at all. It's therefore frustrating to see someone like me, Kevin, make predictions about the future of a highly volatile stock like Tesla before his audience. And yes, I know, he gives the standard disclaimer that this is not financial advice.
Don't sue me, bro.
But when a supposedly reputable figure that positions themselves as a personal finance expert brings up an official-looking spreadsheet and predicts 100% growth within the next 12 months, well, it's not unrealistic to see how some of his impressionable audience would follow his not advice. Now, this is just one of the most blatant examples, but all of these personal finance personalities is guilty of giving this not advice pieces of advice throughout their content. This can range anywhere from invest into dividend stocks all the way up to buy a duplex and rent out the other side. Both pieces of advice are not necessarily bad, but are grossly overgeneralized and make no accommodations to the financial situation of their viewers. Now, my friend Richard over at The Plain Bagel actually made a video last week that explored the issue of picking stocks and why he doesn't offer stock picks. On its surface, this should be taken as a bit of wisdom, considering it is his literal career to analyze investments, and he also has taken the lucrative test to become a chartered financial analyst. I was actually considering not making a video after seeing that one because I thought Mr. Bagel did a pretty fair and well-rounded argument against all of this. But then I saw this. Alright, this is where the serious issue starts. Making up new rules for people to follow. I hate to break it to you, and I truly do mean this in the nicest way possible, but Graham Stephan is an ex-real estate agent and a social media influencer. He does not know the 5 best investments to make you rich. For that matter, nobody knows any investments that will make you rich, and if they did, they sure wouldn't be sharing them on a YouTube video. Despite popular opinion these days, good investments should not double overnight. They should instead continually provide value over many years or decades and return that value back to the investor over the same time period. The generally accepted rate of return for a well-diversified portfolio is anywhere between 6% all the way up to 12% if you are doing really well. The bad news here is that it's not going to make you rich, just like we said at the beginning of the video. Well, actually, it's not going to make you rich unless you have a decent income already and are very disciplined about consistently contributing to this portfolio over a long enough time period for compounded interest to do its thing. Even then, it will make you old and rich, which is not what people want. What they do want is to hear about how the people talking to them got so rich, which is where we get the last type of concerning content: personal stories about their success. Now, who doesn't love a good success story, especially when it's the tale of a scrappy underdog proving all the naysayers wrong, which is something most of these guys have. Graham didn't get into college, meet Kevin started from less than $1,000, Dave Ramsey went totally bankrupt, and the same is true for the rest of them. None are turning around and saying I studied like crazy through high school, got into a good university, and became a doctor or an investment banker. Why? Well, because their backgrounds are much more relatable to the average audience, which makes achieving fortunes for that audience sound much more attainable. Now, that's not to say that these backstories are all a lie, but more so that they are just the product of survivorship bias. For every Dave, Graham, and Kevin, there are thousands of people that didn't have the unique set of skills and the luck to break into the incredibly lucrative roles they found themselves in. Sure, Graham didn't go to college, but he did work his way into an incredibly prestigious real estate firm. So, what he lacked in book smarts were obviously made up for with personal branding and good old-fashioned sales ability. If you are a fantastic salesman, then sure, go ahead. There is actually a widely accepted array of high-paying jobs with varying levels of effort to certainty. Sales sits somewhere towards the riskier side of this array. Something that is very high effort would be becoming a surgeon or dentist. It takes years and years of medical school, but once you are practicing, you are all but guaranteed a high income and a standard of living for the rest of your life. Of course, at the other end of the spectrum is something like becoming a rock star, famous actor, or yeah, even a YouTuber. It doesn't take too much effort when compared to years in med school or 100-hour weeks in an investment bank, but it's also incredibly unlikely to pay off. Whether they do it intentionally or not, the personal finance personalities perpetuate the narrative of dropping out of school and building your own destiny, which has worked well for them, but will not work for most people. It also sounds eerily familiar to the promises made by the more despicable side of the financial gurus.
Drop out of college.
Now, there is one last problem with all these personal backstories, and that is that they are used to justify all these other pieces of content. To demonstrate this, we are once again going to pick on Meet Kevin. One of his most popular videos is a tale of how he built up his property portfolio from $0 to $5.5 million by the age of 27. You are welcome to go and watch the video, but the TLDR is that through a series of flips and equity releases, he built up a highly leveraged position of real estate assets that were cash flow positive. Sounds great, but it is incredibly risky. Take a 5-to-1 leverage position in the stock market and most people will think you lost your mind. But take a 10-to-1 leverage position on a house and you're an investment genius. Most people don't realize how risky real estate can be. Now, of course, Kevin was lucky. He started investing at the start of one of the longest real estate bull runs in history, and in his defense, he has since deleveraged his position significantly. But this is the definition of survivorship bias. Nobody is going to make a video of how they lost their life savings trying to flip homes. Had Kevin started his investment journey in 2004, he certainly wouldn't be telling stories of financial success on YouTube. If anything, he would be lucky to be an extra on The Big Short.
You just keep going to the bank and you ask for more money. Hey, there's a bubble.
Now, if I sound overly cynical, let me follow all this up by saying that given the opportunity to make as much money as these guys are by uploading videos to the internet, I would sell out so damn fast.
Sometimes YouTubers can sound like salespeople.
But they are still selling something. It might not be a course or an AI that can trade Forex for you or even a book, but they are selling you to keep on watching. Bleak realities about the tough road to reliably create wealth doesn't quite grab the attention like an open mouth and flashy headline. But in a world where attention is the new currency, you should spend yours wisely.
If you're watching this video, you're still like, all of this guy's investments is because of his YouTube money. You're 100% right.
Anyway, if you do happen to get rich by following in their footsteps, you should follow that all up by commenting how dumb I am on this video and watching our video on what to do next after making a few $1,000,000. If you did enjoy this video, please consider liking and subscribing to keep on learning how money works.